Hey guys, today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I had the amazing opportunity to go and watch Mortal Kombat 2, the brand new Mortal Kombat movie, in Hollywood for the official premiere at the Chinese Theater and premiere slash fan event. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Warner Brothers. This is one of the coolest things that ever happened to me. But yeah, so I got the chance to see the new movie before most people did. And today we're going to do a bit of a review. So I'm excited about this. This is an out of theater review. I haven't done any of these before, but I'm excited to do it because you guys know I love Mortal Kombat and fighting games. Just quickly, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. If you would like, I'm also going to do a spoiler review, but that will only be up on Patreon. I don't want to risk people that don't want to see that seeing any of that on YouTube. And at the end of the video, I'll talk a little bit about the experience at the premiere. Yeah, that'll be the same in both videos. So if you watch one, you don't have to watch the other for that necessarily. But okay, so first of all, as you guys know, if you've been following the channel for a while, I am a massive Mortal Kombat fan. Massive fighting game fan in general, but Mortal Kombat has been like my deepest love in the fighting game community. I'm very actively involved with the whole competitive scene. I've gone to tournaments. I have been playing the game since I was a kid, so of course I've seen all the movies and TV shows and all the various relevant content out there. So I was very excited when this was coming out. Like many people, there were certain things about the 2021 movie that I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of, though I think I actually liked it more than a lot of other people did, perhaps. But this movie, Mortal Kombat 2, is on a whole other level. I had an amazing experience. I had a blast from start to finish with it. We'll just start off by saying one of the first things that a lot of people were unsatisfied with the 2021 movie was the fact that they felt the movie took itself a little bit too seriously for Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat games have always had quite a bit of humor, a touch of cheesiness to them, and the 1995 movie that a lot of people look back on so fondly very much had that kind of cheesy feel. This one brings that back, so don't worry, if you're into that, you'll get that in spades in this one. Mega. And they did a really good job with it too. The humor was good. We get a couple of characters that are not surprisingly very funny. So Johnny, of course, Johnny Cage brings a lot of humor to the table, and it's not really a spoiler to say that Kano is back because you guys have seen him in the trailers. So of course, Kano is also one of the highlights of this movie, just like he was the 2021 movie. But there are some surprisingly funny characters in this too. I don't want to say anything about that too much because it's a spoiler, but some of my favorite scenes involve Johnny interacting with a character that you maybe wouldn't expect to be super funny, and those scenes are not only awesome in terms of the fight choreography, but hilarious. So, big thumbs up to that. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Speaking of, Karl Urban blew it out of the water as Johnny Cage. I know people were uncertain about his casting. I was always kind of optimistic because Johnny in some of the later games is kind of like an older, more cynical Johnny Cage, and I could tell that's what they were going for, and he absolutely nailed it. He brought a ton of charm and charisma to the movie. So if you were worried about that, do not be. Another thing that people were not super keen on with the 2021 movie was the way a lot of the fights were edited together. And my understanding is that the fight choreography a lot of time was actually put into that in the first movie, but the way things were edited, it came out looking a lot more choppy, a lot less like what people would expect. You do not have to worry about that in this one. The fights are fabulous. The fight choreography is off the charts. A lot of people have already called attention to one particular fight, which we've seen in a variety of previews, including a preview on Mortal Kombat 1, the game itself, if you log in. And that is the fight you'll see between Liu Kang and Revenant Kung Lao. And I do have to say that that is, in my opinion, the best fight in the movie in multiple different ways. And the choreography is extraordinary. It's absolutely stunning. The whole fight is engrossing from start to finish, and there are a lot, and I mean a lot of moves taken directly from not just one game, but multiple Mortal Kombat games. And it's fun to try to go through and kind of pick out, hey, that move was from, say, Mortal Kombat 11. That move was from, say, MKX. That move goes back to the original trilogy. Not just in this fight, but in all of them. But this fight in particular, very spectacular. Huge shout outs to Ludi Lin and Max Wong, who played those characters, for their amazing job that they did, and to the fight choreographers and to everybody on the team. But in general, the fights also are great. And if you felt there were not enough fights in the first one, there's more fights in this than you can possibly imagine. I'd have to say it's almost all fights, like non-stop fights. And honestly, if I had to make one kind of big-ish criticism of the movie from my point of view, I don't want to say that there were too many fights, because that would be very silly in a Mortal Kombat movie, right? And I wouldn't want to cut any of the fights that we had. But I would say that because it's so much fighting, sometimes there isn't a lot of downtime in between, and there isn't as much time for certain elements of the story to breathe as I would have liked there to be. Certain characters, I think they could have done a little bit more with if they had more time focused on, in between scenes, dialogue, relationships, as opposed to the fights themselves. But I understand that's also kind of a trade-off. Like, if it was up to me, they could have a 3-hour cut of this movie and include all of that stuff in between. But obviously, most studios are not going to allow that or go for a 3-hour Mortal Kombat movie. So you kind of have to choose, do you want all the spectacular fights, or do you want all the in-between stuff? And I know a lot of people felt that the 2021 movie kind of dragged in certain places. This one does not drag at all. They definitely went with the fights. It moves at a very steady pace, one after the other, tons of action. So if you're looking for that in your Mortal Kombat movie, you will be very pleased. And like I said, the fights are all absolutely sick. They are fun. They include tons of moves from the games. They are on stages directly from the games. The fight choreography is great, and it's edited well, so it looks beautiful. The hits sound right. There's even like lots of cool little elements, which I don't want to get too much into. You'll see what happens in the movie itself when you see it, which you should. But there are certain moments where little like fun things from the game, like how fights are staged or framed in the game, or certain things characters do near the end of matches, not just fatalities, they show up in some of these fights. You guys will see what I mean. And those were just like the perfect little moments to me to show how much everybody involved in this movie was really trying to think about the game experience and the fans of the games all the way through. So amazing. Another thing I really want to highlight is, again, without spoiling too much about the story, this movie really has a couple of main characters. One, which you've seen from all the trailers, of course, is Johnny Cage. And I already talked a little bit about Karl. But the second actually is Kitana. And as someone here who has been a big fan of the Edenians, the girls, going all the way back to the first time I ever played a Mortal Kombat game, which was the original Mortal Kombat 2. That was wonderful to me. And Adeline Rudolph, who played Kitana, did a fantastic job. Kitana is the heart of this movie. She gets you. She really draws you in with her experiences, and she's a great character to kind of follow throughout, and also obviously a great opening to Edenia, Outworld, everything beyond Earthrealm. So if you're a fan of Kitana, Edenians in general, you're going to be very happy, very, very happy with what you see in this. Another thing that I loved in this movie was everything involving Shao Kahn. Okay, Martin Ford plays Shao Kahn, and he was spectacular. Force of nature. Every time he was on screen, to me, he stole the show. He was terrifying. He was menacing. He was everything that you would want Shao Kahn to be. but not just in like terms of his performance and the way he looked, but the fights. The Shao Kahn fights were amazing. Amazing! They incorporated so many actual Shao moves from the games. You guys will be having flashbacks to your childhood nightmares of fighting Shao Kahn at the end of those games in the ladders. But it's great. It's just as it should be, and he's very, very menacing. So yeah, I was surprised how much I loved Shao Kahn. I was so happy with everything they did with Shao. I also just want to a couple other things that I would have maybe changed myself. Um, Certain characters, I kind of already touched upon this, but certain characters I feel like didn't get the opportunity to do as much as I would have liked them to, or didn't get to really be highlighted. And I know, again, this is about time, and you can only do so much in a movie. Um, and maybe the issue is that they were trying to put too much into one film. I can understand the reasons why. So, for instance, certain characters, we'll just say like Scorpion and Noob Saibot. Noob Saibot being Bihan, who was our Sub-Zero in the 2021 movie. They played very, very central roles in the 2021 film. They were the opening and closing, basically, of the film. They were the backbone storyline. In this one, you do get to see more of both of them with very interesting character developments and great fights again. But their characters both definitely have very limited time and are kind of like a, I don't want to say add on to the story because that's not correct, and you'll see what I mean, but they could theoretically have not been in this story, and they still could have made this story work because at its heart, this is the story of Kitana and the story of the tournament. So it feels like maybe they didn't get enough time, partially because they're in this because characters love those characters are loved so much that I don't think you could do a Mortal Kombat movie without them and have people not be devastated and furious, understandably so. But at the same time, they weren't, again, I don't want to say they weren't necessary to the story because the way they developed the story, they were important, but they could have adapted the story in such a way to exclude them and given more time to the characters that were absolutely essential to the story, and perhaps that could have flown a bit better. There are also other characters like Shang Tsung, who was really important in the last film, doesn't get as much time in this film, but I kind of hope that maybe what they did here was building up to him doing some of the things he does more often in the next film. I don't know, it's hard to say without spoiling too much, guys, but I just really wanted to point out that this movie is a huge upgrade from the 2021 film if you were super disappointed in that one. The pacing is super fast, there's tons of fights, all the fights are beautifully done, the scenery is amazing, looks like Mortal Kombat stages, the characters all come across very, very well. Really strong highlights with, like I said, Kitana, Shao Kahn, Kung Lao, Kano, Johnny Cage. Like, there's tons of characters in this that I was very, 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 very happy with. So if you love Mortal Kombat, definitely go see this. You will love this film. And all right, give me 1 second, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the premiere experience too. Like I said, if you want a spoiler review, up on Patreon. Be right back. Okay, so to wrap up this video, I just want to talk a little bit about the Mortal Kombat 2 fan experience and premiere that I got to attend because it was one of the most exciting things that's ever happened to me. Again, huge thank you to Warner Brothers, and thank you to Netherrealm and WB Games and everybody who I have ever interacted with in the fighting game community, and everybody watching these videos for doing everything that you've done that has led me to get this opportunity in the first place. But it was really cool. So before the movie, first of all, the movie was at the Chinese Theater, the historic Chinese Theater in Hollywood. And the theater itself was gorgeous, beautiful. There was a huge IMAX screen. It was everything that you could possibly want in terms of a viewing of the movie experience. But everything was so much more than that because We got there a couple of hours before the movie started, and there was a really cool reception. They had all sorts of Mortal Kombat stuff set up in kind of like a receiving area outside where we got to hang out and chill and mingle with all the other people who were there. And so they had all the costumes on display. I'll put some pictures up throughout this quickly so you can see some of the things just a little bit. But yeah, they had all the actual costumes on display there with information about them, and they were very impressive in person. They had little games and stuff, so they had a kind of test your might with a hammer, kind of like one of those fair games where you swing a hammer to see how hard you can hit it. And the prize for that, if you did it, was the Johnny Cage sunglasses, the Uncaged Fury Johnny Cage sunglasses from the movie. So we got those. They had special drawings going on. They had Katana fan giveaways. So we got the Katana fan. They had all sorts of food and drinks that were themed based around the movie and the characters. So that was all super fun. But of course, the big highlights for everybody was the fact that, first of all, they had Ed Boon, John Tobias, all the original Midway guys there to celebrate, and they also had a ton of the people that did the original acting for the characters, either as mocap in the old games or in the 95 movie. They had some of those guys that were there, so you got to just hang out and chill with them. And then the cast also came as well. And the cast were amazing. They were fantastic. The cast also hung out during the movie, so they all came on stage and gave a little comments, little intros before the movie started. And then all of the cast members came out and sat in different places in the audience to watch the film with us and kind of take in that experience. Tati Gabrielle Jade was like right behind me, which was super exciting. And then after the movie, they all stuck around for quite a while, and they took pictures and they signed things and they chatted with everybody. They were super friendly. Karl Urban stayed for so long, guys. Like, huge respect to that man, because he stayed and took pictures with literally every single person that wanted pictures. It seemed like he was just taking pictures for 2 hours straight, and he was just doing it, no complaints. But everybody was so kind. I got to meet Joe Taslim, which is so sick because he's amazing. Warrior, great show. Watch it. The actor that plays Kano, Josh Lawson, I got to talk to him some, and he was really fun and cool and sweet. But really everybody, Ludi Lin and Max Wang, were very friendly and approachable. The ladies were so sweet and kind. Martin Ford, who plays Shao Kahn, was so cool. One of my friends, Elise, wore a Shao Kahn cosplay, and he took a bunch of pictures and even videos with her and talked with her, and they were just all so excited and positive, and it was just a wonderful atmosphere. So just huge shout outs to all of them and everybody that went. And again, huge thank you to Warner Brothers for giving me that chance to go. It was an opportunity of a lifetime. And what made it even better was I got to go with some of my good friends who are also massive Mortal Kombat fans and content creators and FGC members. So it was like just a big love fest and celebration of all things Mortal Kombat. So amazing time. But all right, guys, I think I've talked enough, so let's wrap this video up. But go see Mortal Kombat 2. It is now in theaters, and it's badass. Bye, guys.